Questions on the soffit and fascia. One of the number one questions is, what material are you going to be using? And that answer is wood and plywood. Now, why would someone choose to use wood as opposed to vinyl or aluminum? And in these parts, no, I'm not telling you where I live or what my name is or my blood type. Anyways, in this area, people don't use vinyl or aluminum siding anywhere. It's I think it's got a, people look down on it as it's cheap, even though the wood is cheaper than, you know, the vinyl or aluminum soffit, but it just looks cheap to some people, and they do not want vinyl on their house. They want wood. All said and done, this does look really good once it's all in and finished correctly. It looks very streamlined. It looks like it belongs on the house. This house is 1955-ish, give or take, and I removed the original soffit and fascia, so it lasts a long time. There is no moisture here. Now, why did it go bad? Well, it's been a rental for a long time. It's a duplex. The previous owners of the duplex were elderly, and they lived in the back unit, the one with the big ramp, and they rented out the other one. So they neglected some maintenance, and if you get water intrusion, or you don't clean your gutters and water gets up and in there year after year, decade after decade, it's going to start rotting things away. And overall, there wasn't that much rot. It was just around some of the corners. A lot of the paint started just falling off. It has a brand new roof on now, so that should help that issue out. No, I will not be hiring anybody to help me. I do not need help, but thank you for your concern. So those were the two most commonly asked questions about this soffit and fascia. Trying to remember if there's anything else that stood out, but it was mainly what material and why, or are you going to use vinyl? We got about 50% of the soffit and fascia material for the part of the house that I have demoed already. I'm going with a little bit thicker plywood. What was there was 1/4 inch. This is just slightly over 3/8 of an inch. This is going to be the fascia. This is a 1x6 that measures 3/4 inch by 5.5 inch. So I'll be ripping these down to 4 1/8 inch. First thing to do is get the table saw all set up so that I can get just about 16 inches, 3 pieces per sheet. I got the thickness of the saw blade, so I'll make it just slightly less than 16 inches to account, just to spread that saw blade thickness over the 3 pieces. Table saw safety has just recently become quite popular in social media. There's a guy on Instagram that just recently almost chopped 3 or 4 of his fingers off while using a table saw. This guy and I are about the same age and probably have the same level of experience with the table saw. So my time is coming to chop my fingers off. Now, over the last, I want to say maybe 10 years, table saws, new table saws that is, have had a lot more safety features built into them. My table saw is a Powermatic 66 and didn't come with any sort of safety features. This is a cabinet shop grade table saw, and most guards were custom built by the people who owned them. Getting a little dusty in here. These all measure 15 and 15/16. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be making a custom blade guard and splitter that also has a vacuum port for dust collection. Looks like I'm going to have to move that table saw about a foot this way. I don't have it on rollers yet, and it weighs right around 750 pounds. So we get doing that. I'm going to be using my airless sprayer and not my HVLP sprayer. The airless sprayer puts out a lot more paint and is the right tool for this job. What I'm doing right here is taking apart the sprayer and checking all the filters to make sure everything's clean. This is how I have my paint room set up right now. This keeps all my spare materials clean, the welders are covered. So I've got 4 pieces of soffit here, 4 pieces of fascia, another piece of soffit here. Plan is to get one light layer of primer on. This is all primer that's going on first. It's going on the back sides, and then I'll flip them over and do the front sides. Get the heater cranking and see how much I can get done tonight. So I'm going to get the door open and the fan on. So I'll leave that fan on for just a few minutes to get some of the overspray outside, and then turn the heater back on, leave that crank for half an hour while I go type up some estimates and see how well it's drying. Everything has one coat of Kills primer on it. Now the soffit is what you're going to see, and this plywood has a good side and I guess a bad side. So you can see this is the good side, has no knots in it, and this would be the bad side where it does have knots in it. So this side is going to be exposed and get the color paint when I pre-paint. And when you paint wood or stain wood, what it does is it raises the grain. So this is very coarse here. All the grains are popping up. So each board, I'm just going to hit it once with some 120 sandpaper. Then I'll blow it off and move it into that other room so that I can spray the color paint. I noticed that none of the paint came off, and that's good. That means that the primer is doing its job, made a nice bond to the wood, and now the color paint will make a really good bond to this primer. So this method has been working out to get these to dry up enough to move in about 35 to 40 minutes, and I can bring in another load of wood. Still real wet. Probably should have this mask on, but I don't. Got this fan pointing up in the air. Well, this fan fell over. Just getting air moving really helps to, I'll mess with that later. Just getting the air moving really helps to get this to dry quite fast. Doesn't take long at all. The first batch of Soffit and Fascia is all ready to install, and at this point I'm kind of racing against the weather. I think I talk about that later. And I'm almost done, because I started at the far right of the house and have worked my way all the way around to this corner here. I found it's best to install the soffit and then go back and install the fascia board. Not sure if you can even see me, but what am I doing? I don't even know. It's been a long day. Just left the Soffit and Fascia house and did pretty good. I'm getting my rhythm down and my installation procedures streamlined, and I've got about a third of it done, like installed, painted and installed. So that's pretty good. It's supposed to snow tomorrow. It's 80, actually right now it's 79 degrees at 6:30 at night, and oh, I just missed it. The first bit of wood that you saw me cut and paint has been installed. I got a few clips of me installing. It was a rush to get it in before we had some weather move into the area. So now I'm on to the second phase, and I'm going to do it a little differently. I've got all the soffit boards for this batch leaning up against the wall. My fascia boards haven't even been cut yet. I'm going to cut those while the soffits there are drying, but right now I got to switch from the color paint over to the primer paint. Now when I was done with the primer, the first batch of Soffit and Fascia, I cleaned the whole thing out because I didn't want to tint the green with the white, greenish gray. But now I'm going back to the white, and I'm not even going to bother hosing everything out, because if this tints the primer a little bit, it's not a big deal. I do want to save as much paint as I can, so right now I'm purging all the paint out of the hose and back into the bucket that it came out of. Just wanted to purge all the green paint out of the line back into the green bucket. I'm out here in the workshop. You can tell it's a little bit cold tonight. And I got a fire going. And I love this little laser thing here. I've had this for a long time. I think this is Harbor Freight. But it was in the 30s today. Right now it's, I would say, low 30s. It'll get down into the 20s tonight. That's Fahrenheit. And just taking a look at this cast iron top in here, that's 58 degrees. And the insulated wall is 59 degrees. You can see I got some insulation in there. That wall over there that's not insulated is only 46 degrees. The stove is 456 degrees right on the front door. Can you tell I like taking the temperature of things? The drill press is 52 degrees. The jointer, someone called me out for the way I pronounce jointer, 53 degrees. The best part of this project is still yet to come. The front, where there is that really, really long run of that old steel awning. And that steel awning is screwed to the underneath side of the soffit. And I had to get real creative on how to tear the old soffit off, how to tear the old fascia off, clean everything up, get the nails pounded in, and then reinstall all new stuff. And there was a few times I thought the whole thing was going to come toppling down on top of me. But that will be the next part. So there's only going to be 3. I'm going to make sure that I get everything in the next part. Again, questions, leave them in the comment section. And give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Goodbye.